Good morning. This is the BLAINESWORLD show, heard each week and sometimes twice a week. And you can see us on Facebook, YouTube, we're on Spotify, we're on, you name it, you can find us. And I'm here for a very special show today because it's a live show. And I'm taping this live with a good friend of mine, Howard Smith. And Howard, what's the name of the church?
Marion First United Methodist Church.
Okay, at Marion First United Methodist Church. And it's really exciting because I get to see Howard in person, whereas usually I get to see him every week on Sunday mornings, where he does a show every week from this church. And Howard, let me just start off a little bit by first of all thanking you for being my guest.
Thank you.
On this special edition of the BLAINESWORLD podcast. And I've known Howard now for several years, and he's been a guest with me before, but this is the first time I've actually taped him live from where he hangs out every Sunday morning. I have to ask you, Howard, talk a little bit about that every Sunday morning I see you, even though we're not in person, and what's that all about?
Well, 2.5 years ago, when COVID hit and all the churches shut down, God impressed me that Sunday or that week that since people could not gather in a local house of worship, to bring the music of the church to them. And so I started a Facebook program. I do it on Facebook and YouTube every Sunday, and I do it while everybody's getting ready for church that morning to help to get them into the mood to worship. And so I take requests on Facebook on either Thursday or Friday, and I put it together into a service format. And then I play, on average, about 17 songs that are all requested. And it's all mostly the older hymns that people of my generation and older, they don't get to hear them in church much anymore because so many churches have gone to the newer style of music. And so it really speaks to them and lightens their load and helps to get them a lot of times back to their childhood and brings back just precious memories.
And I like what you say, Howard, every week, that even though they can watch you on video, and you should mention they can watch you throughout the week, right? They don't have to watch it live. It's always on Facebook.
It's always on Facebook. Like I said, it's also on YouTube also.
But I like what you say, though, that even though they're watching you, you encourage them to get to church too.
Oh, yes.
And explain kind of why, what's the difference?
It's good that you can watch this whether you can get to church or not. But it is still important for you to be in God's house with your fellow believers because we are social beings. And just like even with your show, like you said, you watch me every Sunday,
right.
But today you've got a special treat because we're actually together and we draw strength from each other when we're together.
And I said, I'm getting a chill, but telling you about this because I've seen you for 2.5 years. But this is the first time I actually see where you hang out, and it's quite a different experience. And we should mention, we'll give a shout out to the fact that you do it every Sunday, but you're not alone, because let's talk a little bit about how you have some help on that show.
I do have help because I have done it by myself quite a bit to begin with, and I might tape an entire show and then go over to my camera to turn it off and find that I had a glitch of some sort and the entire show never even taped. So one of the ladies here at church, her name is Suzette Clemmer. She actually is a neighbor to the church. You passed her house as you came in, but she volunteered to come over and start running the camera for me every Sunday morning. She makes sure that my tie is straight, my tie bar is perfectly level, hair looks good. She always decorates a table that's normally sitting here behind me. And she lets me know about all the comments that are coming in. And so she encourages me to keep going and everything.
It's almost too bad I should have have her come here because I wanted to meet her. You know, I kind of know her.
I did send her a message, so maybe she'll pop in.
And tell her I said hello, but that is something. And I have to give her a compliment in terms of the tie, because I like the tie you're wearing now. It's an invisible tie.
Invisible tie today.
No, but Howard, you always get dressed up. And talk a little bit about this show that you built up a following. How many people typically watch you on a Sunday?
Oh, well, during the course of the week, I average About between 900 and 1,000 on Facebook, and then I'll have another 1,500 to 2,000 on YouTube. And it's amazing that the program goes around the world. I have viewers in New Zealand, Australia, all over the United Kingdom, the Philippines, and it just goes everywhere. And it's just amazing at how far-reaching it goes.
Of course, you also in the Blain's World blog every week, so that gets at least another 3 other people,
Yes.
watching you. I always say to you that the second spot every week to play your
And
show.
I appreciate that.
And talk a little bit about the other thing you do, which is so much fun. It's like interactive, because I get a kick out of it. I'm not usually the first person to respond, but Howard gives a chance to people to give comments about what they're seeing or doing or where they're from. And that's always a fun thing. And you seem to get a lot of comments as well.
I do. And I look forward to those because my parents watch every week, so they always say Mom and Dad are watching, or some people that I used to go to church with, Skip and Bunny, they're watching, you're watching, and then people will comment, said, oh, that song brings back so many memories, and that really blessed my heart to hear that one today.
And a compliment to you, one of the nice things you do is anybody who puts in a comment, you're going to respond to it. Or
I do my best to like it or say something, yes.
But what's fun about it, Howard, is that you've made it like an interactive program, though. Even
Yes.
though you're here, it's just you and the two of you, it's like I'm part of, the service. And I should mention one other thing before I want to ask you to play something. But the other thing that's nice about it is that you don't have to be any particular religion. And we should talk a little bit about that.
I'm raised Pentecostal. I'm a member of the Church of God, even though I am playing in a Methodist church. But the program is open to anybody because, I don't want to single out just one particular denomination. Although, of course, like I said, I do make more references to the Pentecostal side of music because I do have a very unmistakable Pentecostal style to my playing. But I want everybody to be a part of it. I've got Church of God, I've got Baptist people, Methodists, Presbyterians. I've got a Catholic priest in California that watches every week.
You even have some Jewish folks.
And I do have Jewish folks
So
also.
it doesn't discriminate.
No.
And since we're talking about music, Howard, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit and have you play a couple of songs. But I'd like to have you just play maybe the first one and talk a little bit about what it is and how you got the idea to play the song. So if you do the honors.
Well, I know one that you like personally is Mary, Did You Know? And that song was written by Mark Lowry several years ago. And I just enjoy that one a lot. So for you, Blaine, I'm going to play Mary, Did You Know?
Go for it. Very nice, Howard. And I should mention to anybody watching this or listening to this that they catch a break and that I didn't bring my boom mic or my shotgun mic, because then they would have had me singing along, or they would have had the subject to that. And let me ask you this, Howard, because one of the things I get a kick out of, and you and I have talked about it, is that you don't sing all the time, but what causes you to start singing along when you're playing?
Sometimes during the songs, I do start to sing because the music means so much to me. And I do like to sing, like I said, and I've sung in church all of my life. Although I do more playing these days than singing, but sometimes the songs the meaning to the song becomes so overwhelming that the words to it just have to come out.
Because I always write you, I love it when you sing, it's kind of an added bonus. And we should mention something else that, I mean, so much of what you do is just amazes me, Howard, in terms of, you just saw him playing, and I noticed you weren't reading music when
Correct.
you were playing. How do you do that?
Well, it's a God-given ability to begin with, but I can take just the melody and the chord structure of a song, and I create all of my own arrangements. So none of the pieces that you hear me play on Sunday morning are on paper, which amazes a lot of people like yourself, and it frustrates others because they're like, I want a copy of that arrangement. What arrangement are you playing? And I'm like, that's my arrangement. And I do live such a busy life that even if I did have the technology to print them onto paper after I did them, I just don't have the time to do that.
Now, if I could just share, Howard, can I just hold that
Sure.
sheet up? So Howard and I are talking, and he'll play a couple songs for us, and you'll see, I don't know if you can see this, or you could just see his notes, but he has like 6 notes here, and they're just names of the song, and that's how he's going to play the music he plays. And let's kind of go back a little bit into time then, in terms of playing the piano. You've been playing a few years, I understand.
Quite a few years. I've been playing since I was 4 years old. My mother was taking lessons when I was 4, and she would teach me the songs that she was learning. And so they've got pictures of me sitting at the piano with my feet dangling from the bench because nowhere near touching the floor yet at 4 years old. And I've just always been drawn to play. My parents never had to make me practice because I've always just wanted to practice. I would be playing as soon as I got dressed for school in the mornings. Playing would be the last thing I did before I went to bed at night. So I've just always been, just the drive to play.
Do you remember the first time you played in church? Or were you told about it?
I don't remember the first time that I played in church. I know even when I was a kid, I would play for my brother and myself to sing several times.
And your brother liked it, or?
Yeah. He is also a musician. He is a music director, minister of music for a church in Granite Falls. And so he's more the electronic keyboard side of things, whereas I stick with the acoustic piano most of the time.
And if he's listening, his name is?
Darren Smith.
Okay. Darren, if you're listening or watching, I'm glad you could be with us. Also, I guess it's in the family, because I've learned from you too, that part of your playing, your father was active in church most of his life.
My dad has always been very active in church. Both of my parents were. In fact, that's where they met. They grew up in the same church, and my dad has been a minister for quite a few years. He is a retired minister now, still does a lot of filling in, and then he and my mother both sing together, and so I have played for them to sing many, many years.
And you also played in his church for many years, right?
Yes, his last pastorate, he pastored for 18 years at Bethlehem Church of God, which is in Alexander County, and I was his music director and pianist for 15 years.
That must be a thrill for you, is it? Playing
It is.
With your dad?
It really is. It holds a very special place in my heart.
And even though I haven't seen it, I get a chill whenever you talk about it. You're going to be playing with your dad, and you always announce it. And to play with him must be, just quite an experience.
It is. It really is.
So they get 2 Smiths for the price of 1.
Yes.
At that point in time. And we should talk about another Smith. I asked you this off the air one time. Your son is not quite yet following in your footsteps. Is that correct?
Not yet. My little boy, Alexander, he is 6 years old. He won't settle down and let me teach him anything yet. He still makes up his own songs, but he does sit down at the piano and he's got the right finger moves. He curves his fingers the right way. He's got the mechanics, just not ready to settle in and start.
And something you said, I guess, is maybe the key to it. So you as a kid, at age of 4, you were just playing on your own and you liked it. Talk about practice. Even now, I wonder, like, you've been playing for all these years. Do you still practice?
I do still have to practice. Most people think, you don't have to practice, you just sit down and do it. Well, no, I've been sitting down and learning all of these moves for so many years that, yes, it does come easier now, but there is still a large amount of effort has to go into it.
And one of the thrills I get every Sunday, Howard, I don't know if we'll see it today, but just to watch you play, you do it with such enthusiasm, and especially when you play a fast song, and I just watch your fingers, and just watching your fingers is enough to, give a thrill to me. Let me ask you, one of the songs we were talking about, are any of them kind of an upbeat or fast song you have today?
I do have, yeah. Well, I've got actually my last competition piece, which is a very large number. It's about 4 minutes, but it's very grand, and it starts out big, it gets bigger, and part of it is very fast.
And one of the things I was so excited about when you heard about the competition, and again, it was fun. Every week I'm following you and looking forward to it. And then you always announce you're going to be, which is nice, where you're going to be playing. Talk a little bit about the competition and what happened as a result.
Okay. In the Church of God denomination, which, like I said, I am a member of, talent is always a big part of that. And when you're a teenager, they have a lot of different talent competitions, mostly in music, although they do cover a lot of the arts also. But I was state champion in the piano division twice as a teenager. And then you've got quite a few years that nothing gets to go on, but once you turn 50, they have a senior competition that starts. And so I'm 55 years old, and of course we shut down for 2 years with COVID, but so I have won the state competition in piano 3 times now, and I'm the current national champion in the Church of God denomination.
Well deserved, but I can just imagine judging that competition must be some battle, that, I mean, all the stuff sounds good, so
it does.
To come out top is quite an accomplishment. And since we talked a little bit about it, could you play that one song? It's, again,
I will be glad to.
Another
Yeah.
of my favorites. Introduce it.
Okay. It's a medley of Holy, 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 Joyful, Joyful, We Adore Thee, and it's got the very ending of the Hallelujah chorus. So I hope you enjoy this one.
One of the fun things I'm getting being with you here, Howard, is just watching and concentrating on watching your fingers. You know, just, no offense to the rest of you, but just, you have to see his fingers. The next song he plays, just kind of watch him play. And I'm wondering, does it help if you're a piano player? Does it help if you are tall or have long arms?
No, not really. My hands are average size, and I'm only 5'6", so I'm not a tall person by any means, but I just do what God's given me to do.
But you can reach all the keys, though.
Oh yes, and then some.
And kind of we'll update from where we left off. So I got that you were a kid, you playing the piano, starting at the age of 4. Did you then study it or take lessons? Or
I did. I took private lessons starting when I was in the 3rd grade. And so I took off and on. I had 3 different teachers till I was a senior in high school. And then went on with life at that point.
By the way, the teachers, are any of them still around?
David Suits was one of them. He lives in Florida now.
Okay.
And then a cousin, he was the pianist at church, and then another one, Sharon Suits, which is part of the same extended family. She was another teacher, and she was also at the church. And then Becky McDonald, which I don't know if she still lives in Lenore or where she is, but those were my 3 teachers.
Well, we'll give a shout out to them, especially if they're watching, for you can see what's come as a result of it. That's pretty exciting that, you know, you learn from them and that you put it into practice, which is so great. And so you played, you went through high school, you were taking piano lessons, and so what happened after that?
After that, I got married. Got married at 18, and but I've worked in churches all of my life. So just being minister, music director, church pianist, just lots and lots of experiences like that. I have played for some Southern gospel quartets along the way, none of the mainstream groups, but just a lot of different events. I'm currently, another thing that I am involved in is the Old Fort Community Chorus, which is here in McDowell County. And I've been their accompanist since 2005. And we've got a big concert coming up next weekend, December 16th. And it's at 7 p.m. And then on the 17th at 2 p.m. And that's going to be at Old Fort First Baptist Church. And it's kind of like being back home for us because we've been at Greenlee Baptist the last several years, but we started out at Old Fort First Baptist, and so that's where the concerts are.
And talk about those concerts. They're both open to the public?
They are open to the public. We've got a choir, volunteer choir that's about between 40 and 50 are in it this year. Just a tremendous group of people. It's all just your typical people. None of them are professional singers or anything, but Carolyn Early is the director, and she's a very well-known music teacher and here in the county, and she does a fantastic job as the director for that, and so we're looking forward to a good crowd for those.
Do you prefer playing by yourself like we are now, or do you prefer playing with the choir? I think I prefer to play for a choir more. I like to have an audience, you know, and that's just me. But I like doing a lot of freestyle playing, like what I'm doing with you also. Okay. In terms of your playing, so talk about putting your show together each week. So here it's now taping on a Friday. Your regular weekly show is going to be on a Sunday. Talk about what that entails in terms of both choosing the music, getting it, and then preparing for it.
Okay, well, I put my Facebook request out this morning early, and so people have been sending in requests all morning. Oh yes, I've been getting quite a few requests already. Probably got enough for Sunday's program already, and so I will put that together. I'll start on it this evening, and most of it I'll do tomorrow. And it takes me about an hour and a half to put Sunday's program together. And I'll play through most of the numbers if I haven't played them in a while. And some of them I'll have to find music for, or at least the words, and try to refresh my memory on them.
Well, I find it interesting too that sometimes you'll mention to the people watching that you want them to submit music to you sometimes, and they do.
Yes, if I don't know the number at all, and I've never heard it or anything, sometimes people will email me a copy of the music.
There's music you haven't heard?
Oh yes, quite a few.
Okay, let me have you play then a third number, if you will, I think, and I'll let you introduce it.
Okay, I'm going to go away from what I've actually got listed here, and I'm going to do a really, really fun one. I know, Blaine, you talked about you love to watch my hands,
right.
So I'm going to play probably one of the fastest numbers that I play, and I know you have heard it many times because I like to end my program on Sundays with this one quite a few times. It's probably the most requested song that I do, and it's a Southern gospel number, and it's called Goodbye World, Goodbye.
Howard, I have to mention something though. I feel bad. I was watching you, taking your advice, and you didn't hit this.
Did I not hit that one?
Do you sometimes miss a key?
Maybe.
Right.
Well, I tell you why I didn't hit that note. It wasn't in the key that I was playing.
Oh, is that it?
I was playing in the key of E flat, and C's not part of it.
Oh, but you typically hit every key in a song?
Pretty close.
Okay, that is so cool. Now that song, I've heard a couple times in your show, but it seems like I've heard it elsewhere. Like some of the music, is it used elsewhere?
Well, so many songs, you know, throughout time, they're all going to, a lot of them will sound alike. You know, parts of them, a small section of a song may remind you of something else, you know, sparks memories.
Do any of the songs wind up in a movie or?
Some do.
Yeah, I mean, that just sounded so familiar. Maybe because I've heard it a bunch of times.
You have heard it several.
But it's just a fun thing, and that's something else too. I never get tired of hearing a song, you know. And then sometimes, which is interesting what you do, you play a different variation of it. You know, you'll
yes.
Explain that you'll get it. Tell me where you get music from, and then how come there are different variations of it.
Well, a lot of times you get tired of doing it the same way all the time, and the viewers may get tired of hearing, well, I've heard that arrangement before, you know, and he plays that one a lot. So I try to mix it up, and sometimes, like I did a new arrangement a while back of When We All Get to Heaven. It was a rainy Saturday. I couldn't get outside and play with my little boys, so I got in a lot of piano practice time, and I'm like, well, let's just see what all we can do with that one today. So I think I made up like 4 different arrangements of it.
Now talk also about the music, and again, you're teaching me every week, which is good. You'll mention you get the music from different hymns or hymn books.
Different
or something.
hymnals, yes.
Explain that.
Well, not all the songs are in the same book, so I do have to search out different hymnals, whether it be the Methodist hymnal, Baptist hymnal. There's one that I do refer to most of the time, which is called the church hymnal, or commonly known as the redback hymnal.
I was going to ask you, that's
yeah,
one I hear.
the redback hymnal, you do hear that one a lot. That one is printed by the Church of God, and it is widely used in a lot of, well, the Church of God, Baptist, Free Will Baptist, a lot of the different churches do use that one. It's got a lot more of the upbeat style of the hymns.
How many hymns are in that one, ballpark?
It's got 410 pages, I think. So.
And so you know a lot of them?
I know most of them, yes, because I was raised on that one. So.
Well, talk also about the fact that hymn. I'll put you on the spot a little bit, but I'm just curious. Have you ever written a hymn?
No, not yet.
You haven't written?
I just arrange songs. I've written a couple of little choruses that are just very short, but never an actual hymn.
Are people still writing hymns? You
Yes,
mentioned
they
the
are.
Red Book, but people come out with new ones?
Yes.
And that's probably fun for you too when you hear a new one or see one, and then to play that or share it.
Mm-hmm.
So I look forward to someday hearing a hymn you've written, because you're not into writing the music, you're into
Just arranging.
And talk a little bit about that process. So you get a hymn in the Red Book, and it'll be written one way, and then you do what with it after that?
Well, songs are basically just, when you're reading them in the hymn book, it's just like the 4-part harmony for you to sing by. And so it's not really an accompaniment arrangement. And so I just take the songs and see what all I can add to it to make it just really pretty.
Okay, and it's like, again, I enjoy the fact that I'll hear something, but then I might hear it differently, or sometimes you'll play it differently. That's kind of cool. And Howard, I'll ask you, again, maybe one more hymn you have on your list there, or if you care to play one more.
Sure.
And what is that?
Okay, well, I'm going to do a fun little one. Sounds like a calypso number called Mary's Little Boy Child. And these Christmas numbers, I will be playing in an upcoming concert that we haven't gotten around to mentioning yet. But that is going to be next Saturday night. So Saturday is a busy day for me because, like I said, I've got the Old Fort Community Chorus at 2 p.m. And then at 7 p.m., I will be in Black Mountain at Black Mountain Church of God, which is up towards Montreat College. It's on North Fork Road. And I'll be performing there, like I said, at 7 p.m. And it's an all-Christmas concert. And so I welcome you to come out and be a part of that. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'll be playing. I've got 3 other folks will be joining me, doing some vocal numbers also. And so this next one is going to be one of those, Mary's Little Boy Child.
Very nice. And I don't know about anybody watching this, but as I'm listening to this, I'm just kind of have a big smile on my face and want to beat along, and I don't even know the song, but kind of hum along with it. Mm-hmm. Do you get people when they're, do they tell you that they're watching? Do you tell them that do they tell you they're singing along?
Mm-hmm. They do. A lot of people sing along, and I think this is hilarious, but on YouTube a while back, I actually had somebody message me that even their dog was singing along one day.
Did you see it? Or?
No, they just told me that their dog was even trying to sing along.
Well, if that person is listening or watching, please make a clip of that next time, YouTube, and send it to Howard. That would be something to see. But this is amazing, Howard. So I have to ask you another question. And I'm looking at you. I don't see roller skates on you today, but how do you get back and forth and do all the stuff you do?
That's a good question, because it does amaze people to watch, because when I am playing and I lean all the way up here and then to be able to come back, I have a secret trick that I do. And I wrap, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but I take my left foot and wrap it around okay, so you saw me do that. I wrap my foot around the left leg of the stool so that I can keep my balance and come back.
So I noticed that. I was wondering. But what I was also wondering, though, is that you do all these different things. And we should mention, on top of that, you work full-time also.
I do work full-time. I work in Hickory for Hickory Chair Furniture Company.
And by the way, we should just give a quick mention to them for the work they do. I'll ask you to mention two people. But one is, Howard, just want to talk about the chair I was sitting on.
Yes, this is a Hickory chair piece. I've had it for about 10 years now. And I brought it here at the church because honestly, the chairs that they had on the platform weren't very comfortable, and I wanted something that would sit a little better while I'm waiting to play again, and so I brought that one from home.
Because I have to say, Howard asked me before, what I think of the chair, and I said, yeah, who thinks of a chair as being comfortable? Well, this is a comfortable chair.
Yes.
So, Howard, just a shout out to the two people. So you mentioned you work at Hickory, what's the name?
Hickory Chair.
And how long have you been there?
I've been there 16 years.
Okay, what do you do there?
I work in the machine room. I mostly watch other people work, make sure that everything's correct and that they're busy, but I also do some of the machining processes too.
Okay, I have to give a shout out to one other person. And again, Howard, I can't believe I'm talking about this because they're almost like my family or my friends, that I've gotten to know these people. So aside from the person coming every Sunday, you also talk a little bit about where you get your pianos from, or does the tuning, and give a shout out to them.
Doug Brady from Brady Piano Company in Hickory. He does take care of this piano for me. He keeps it in tune. Last year we had all new hammers put in it, and he takes care of all of that. He does quite a few pianos, even here in McDowell County, but also throughout a lot of Western North Carolina, because there aren't too many piano dealers left, and he is one. So if your church is needing a new piano, or if you need one at home, Doug Brady is a fantastic person to get your piano from, because he's not in it to make a fortune off of it. He's in it to take care of you and get you what you need.
And talk also about what you just mentioned, because I'm not too familiar with it. But in terms of tuning pianos, how often, first of all, does a piano have to be tuned?
I get this one tuned at least every 6 months. Weather changes, the seasons change. That affects the tuning. Also, the amount of playing that I do on it does take a toll sometimes also.
Is that tough for you when you go to other churches?
Yes.
And you have to play with other pianos? Is that an adjustment?
It can be. Every piano feels different, has different abilities itself. Just like, can it play really fast, or can I play fast on it, or do I need to slow down a little bit because is the action quick or slow? The tuning has a lot to do with it.
Do you ever play on a piano that's not in tune?
Oh, yes. I tell people that that's one of the reasons I hit so many notes at once, because if it is a little bit out of tune, you're not going to hear some of it. I can hide it.
Because you would notice, I can,
right?
But you do notice it. I have to ask you another question, Howard. I'm looking at this, And I noticed this particular piano has your name on it.
It does have my name on it.
Explain that.
This piano is a Baldwin brand, and Howard is one of the subdivisions of Baldwin. Although this piano was made in the 60s, and at that time, Baldwin was contracting Kawai in Japan to make pianos for them. So this is a Kawai-made Baldwin Howard piano.
So it wasn't made just for you, though.
No, it was not made just for me. Although I did put that on Facebook a while back, and some people were like, "Oh, that was so nice of the church to do that for you." They thought the church put my name on it.
Okay, that's what I was looking at. I said, so where's that the only piano at home? Do you have a Howard piano?
No, I don't have a Howard at home.
I thought maybe you give preference to that.
No.
Well, Howard, just to kind of bring this into focus, a couple of things. If I can have you, first of all, just mention if somebody wants to get in touch with you or follow you or find out more about you, what's the best bet?
Okay, Facebook is the absolute best, and you just type in Howard Smith Jr. Jr. To find me on Facebook. Also on YouTube, same thing, Howard Smith Jr. And you'll see my picture come up, and I'm always sitting at a piano.
And the nice thing, they can then listen to all your past shows?
You can watch all the past shows from several years. YouTube has probably 5 years worth of stuff on it.
And you also mentioned then during the show, you're doing a couple upcoming gigs. And if you could mention them again?
Yeah, the Old Fort Community Chorus concerts are next weekend, December 16 at 7 p.m. and then the 17th at 2 p.m. And those are at Old Fort First Baptist Church. And then next Saturday night, December the 17th, I'll be in Black Mountain at Black Mountain Church of God on North Fork Road, and that concert's at 7 p.m.
And you mentioned also on the show, and it's probably you get a kick out of it as well, that sometimes people just approach you. You'll be somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
And
yeah, when I first started doing these programs, I was walking down the street in Black Mountain, and I heard somebody yell out the window, "Hey, I see you on my Facebook." Or, you know, I'll be in church services all across the state, and people will be like, "Oh, I watch you on Sunday mornings while I'm getting ready for church."
And I'll just invite other folks to do the same thing too. Howard is on every Sunday morning, and I make a point to tune in 7:45. It's usually about a half an hour, give or take. Yep. And that's on Facebook, and you can also find it on YouTube.
Yes.
And you're in for a treat. Again, I was in for a treat today to actually be with Howard at where he hangs out in this church, beautiful church. Howard, the church is?
Marion First United Methodist.
Okay, and so every Sunday they can watch you on Facebook. But is this where you perform every Sunday? Yes,
I am employed here as their pianist and pipe organist, and I've been here 6.5 years now.
Okay, and I guess listening to you, you don't sleep much, or I'm wondering how you get everything done.
Yeah, I do get a little bit of sleep at night, but my days start at before 4 a.m. usually, but on Sundays I'm here by 6:45.
Okay. And I thank you for this one of your days off. This is what Howard's doing, taping this show with me. I'd like to thank you, Howard, as always, for not only being my friend, but also for being my guest on the special edition of Blaine's World podcast. You can see it, as Howard mentioned, on Facebook, YouTube. It's also on LinkedIn, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, you name it, you'll be able to find it. Tune in every week or wherever you can find us on any of those areas. I'd also like to thank not only Howard, but my producer, Cappy Tossetti, and I look forward to seeing you folks again real soon. Thanks again for tuning in. And let me just stay with me. You can watch Howard as I stop the taping.
Thank you.